I often speak of how I believe the world could be, something like a kinder place that values hard work and nature. And many people have often echoed this sentiment. I wish we could go back to the way things used to be. But it's easy to idolize those dreams and lose sight of the reality of a time. And no book, or should I say novella, illustrates this better than John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. Join me for another caffeinated critique, where we go back to the good old 1930s with the racism, misogyny, ableism, and oh my god, why do we idolize the past again? So let's get into it. I first read it in 8th grade, courtesy of Miss Fry, and the novella is about these two migrant workers out of California, George and Lenny, and the people they encounter as they try to navigate the cruel cold world of 1930s America. It was a time known for its widespread inequality. Food and work were scarce, equal rights, an afterthought. George and Lenny have a dream, to be free, to be their own masters and reap the rewards of their own hard work. And of course, pet the rabbits. And with something to look forward to, the hard labor seems almost manageable. And a couple people in the book even dare to dream as well. But inevitably, tragedy strikes, and George and Lenny must abandon their dream if either one of them hopes to find peace. So on the surface, it's a simple story with a takeaway that's echoed in its title. Even the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. I mean, that's just life. Something always goes wrong, or, as you see in the book, human nature rears its ugly head. The two main characters are literally described as opposites. George is a smart fella, Lenny is a fart smeller. No, but really, he's always described using animal-like attributes. His hands are likened to paws, and he often sleeps in the barn. He has the mental capacity of a child, and the strength of a bear. And though Lenny gets into trouble, and people get hurt, we never see him as evil, just careless. So in a way, we can view the ending of a novella as a man coming to terms with his animalistic impulses. The dream is gone, and all that's left is harsh reality. We'd have a little house and a room to ourselves, a little fat iron stove, and in the winter we'd keep a fire going in it. It ain't enough land, so we'd have to work too hard, maybe 6-7 hours a day. We wouldn't have to buck no barley 11 hours a day. And when we'd put in a crop, why we'd be there to take the crop up. We'd know what come of our planet. And it'd be our own. And nobody could can us. And if we don't like a guy, we can say, get the hell out. By God, he's gotta do it. And if a friend come along, well, we'd have an extra bunk. And we'd say, why don't you spend the night? And by God, he would. And the reality was, the dream could never be, at least in the world that was shown. All men are born equal, except the ones with property, except the elderly, the disabled, the women, and usually at the bottom, the people of color. And nowhere else is this power imbalance more seen than in the character of Curly's wife. Yeah, we don't even know her name. She's just a woman in a man's world. While she can't be viewed as the primary antagonist of a novel, her main crime is just being a woman. She gets blamed for everything that happens, but all she really wants is someone to talk to. The other men project these ideas onto her, and when she strays from the mold of the perfect housewife, quiet, submissive, and visible, she's labeled a whore. And maybe you'd assume that this mistreatment would make her more empathetic, more understanding, or, will you keep your place then? I could get you strung up on a tree so easy, it ain't even funny. In Chapter 4, we have a moment with some characters who represent some of the least powerful groups in society. And when Curly's wife, a woman, finds herself in the presence of Crooks, a black man, she uses what little power she has to demean him and downright bully him into submission. So through this, we're shown that hate only promotes further cruelty, and maybe it's human nature to want to possess power over someone else. Contrast this with Slim. He's portrayed as a wise, skilled Skinner, and is viewed as one of the most moral characters in the novel. His authority was so great that his word was taken on any subject, be it politics or love. This was Slim, the jerk-line Skinner. His ear heard more than was said to him, and his slow speech had overtones, not of thought, but of understanding beyond thought. His hands, large and lean, were as delicate in their action as those of a temple dancer. When we're introduced to him, we're told that he drowned 4 of his dog's 9 pups. And while we may view this as cold, he follows it up with the reasoning that it would just be too many mouths for one dog to feed. You can view this as a metaphor for the world of the 1930s at the time, where there just wasn't enough to go around for everyone. But this also frames Slim's character as a just man, who uses his power to achieve the best outcome for everyone. So considering all this, perhaps Steinbeck is arguing that one must master their impulses to be the man amongst men. But the novella shows us what becomes of people who limit themselves to reality. They become cruel, detached, and cold. We must have something to work towards, something to keep us noble and steady. We must dare to dream. Of Mice and Men is about the reality of the American dream, about power and how men should use it, and in the words of John Marston, how we die alone, but we live among men.